everyone, in this video I have scrapbook process number 41 to share with you. This was my first project with the Simple Stories I Am collection, and I decided to scrap a selfie. Not very original, I know, but there it is. So I started off originally going to do that picture of me that's like quite the close-up one, but then I noticed that the picture had like a blemish on it, like on the photo paper itself, and usually that kind of thing doesn't bother me, but it was right on my eye and really obvious. So I went to print it off again, and then in the same folder I found that other picture of me with the lollipop, and I was just like, you know what, that picture is more me, it's more my personality than the pouty posy photo kind of thing. So my original plan, as I said, was that pouty posy photo with the paper with like the script across it, and I was just like, but my lollipop photo, as it were, doesn't really go very well with that paper. So I was going through the papers trying to find another one, because I was decided, yep, that's the one I'm going to scrap. They were both taken, by the way, at Cam's Planacon last year, so they are about a year old. And yes, so I pulled out that paper, which I think is called I Am Living Vibrantly. All the papers, by the way, are called I Am, then ... something positive. And that paper, even though it's like a pastel multicoloured one, and my lollipop is not very pastel, but the lots of colours and stuff, it worked together kind of thing. Lots of colours in my lollipop, lots of colours on my paper. So yes, that was what I had decided on. So, although it did throw me off to an extent, because I did have a sort of plan in my head for that original photo and stuff. So yes, had to kind of start again from the beginning in my brain. And I thought I would use that I Am, the floral one, but I end up not. And I really wanted to include, so my absolute favourite paper and image in this collection is the black paper with the white typewriter font with some of the foiling in it. And I really, because it's just my absolute favourite, I really wanted to include it in my first project with this collection, but I couldn't think how to do that on this rather pastel-y layout, although it doesn't completely end up that way, but anyways, you will see. But I decided to do that thing where you sort of fold over a corner of your main paper and then stick that behind as if it's like on the back of the paper in general. I have done this before. The time I did it before was actually not really on purpose though. I can't remember what I did, like I accidentally ripped the paper or something like that, and you know, like that was my way to save the layout kind of thing. But this time it was on purpose. So yeah, I just stuck that there, and I like the way it just sort of pokes out from the side there. I do go back and embellish that little corner as well, and I'm obsessed with that very pretty little tag with the roses on, but I don't end up using that, so don't get too fond of it. Now for backing my photo, or matting it, however you like to say that word, there wasn't anything from the collection that was quite right. Like at first I thought I'll use that black paper again, but it was just too harsh against that background. Although that's not going to make sense with what I do next. But anyways, but yes, I got this paper from Paige Evans' Take Me Away, and that works quite well. The blue is very similar to the blue that's on the back page thing there. Losing words. I'm always losing my words. You guys are used to it. So then I wasn't going to do any mixed media on this layout, and then I changed my mind, and look at that. I guarantee you, I'm not even lying here, when I was doing that black acrylic paint on there, I was actually going, the whole time. Like, I should have unmuted it to prove to you guys. I was just going, because it's scary. But basically, I'd seen Adele at Vinky Quill do this quite recently, do a big splodge of black acrylic, and it worked out so beautifully, and I just wanted to give it a go. I didn't intend to do mixed media on this page at first, but then I just thought, you know what, it's going to work really well, and scary as it seemed, it does work, I think, anyways. So then, as you can see, I'm using one of my favourite stencils, that sort of cross hatch kind of one, and dabbing on some white acrylic paint just to go over the top of where I've smushed the black. So that's just going on like that. I used the sponge because I just thought it just seems to work better with the stencils than, you know, using a palette knife or something, because the black acrylic paint is obviously quite smooth, and you might accidentally move the stencil and then just end up with a white smoosh. So in this situation, the sponge I find is the best thing to use. So yes, and I did go over the edges a little bit with the white, like carried it off the black and onto the main paper kind of thing, and I think that works quite nicely as well. And then what I also did is, that is the little roller stamp that comes in the collection, and I thought I would stamp some of the little I am phrases just in pastel colours on that black acrylic. And, well, a sensible person would say, Grace, you have some distress oxides on order and they're going to work perfectly for this. Put this layout aside and then do this once they arrive. But guess who's not a patient person? Yeah, Grace is not a patient person. So yes, the oxides would have worked better, I am aware, but I am impatient, so I just use those sort of pastel ink pads from Hobbycraft. It's not wonderful, but it's not completely awful. You can just about read what they each say. Just things like, there's words like, well, you get the I am on the roller stamp and then lots of phrases underneath, like enough and loved, beautiful, that kind of thing. I can't remember now. So I wanted to include, that's from one of the cut aparts, the 4x6 cut aparts sheet. And I really wanted to include that, but as a 4x6 thing itself, it was way too big to put on this layout. So I decided to cut all those little phrases out separately and then just leave a little bit on each of that lovely floral pattern that's behind them. And then you saw as well, I got rid of that big floral I am because that was no longer working. It wasn't right anymore. So instead, I was going to go for that black one and then decided on the one from the chipboard stickers because, yes, I think it's got the black and the white, like I've already got the black on the white on the layout, so I thought that worked quite nicely. And then pulling out florals and butterflies and stuff, because this is my first I am layout, I wanted it to make it as me as possible. So it's a silly picture of me with a lollipop. I'm using florals, I'm using mixed media, I'm using butterflies, just all of my favourite things, as it were. The fun, well, it's not really a funny story, but that lollipop, I was so proud of my lollipop. At Cam's Planicon last year, there was a sweetie cart, and there was about 5 or 6 of those giant rainbow lollipops. But the thing is, at a British event, everyone tends to be a bit British about things, and therefore polite, and, you know, not take the best things, as it were, because, it, you know, in the British persona, it seems rude to take the best thing. But I was looking at it like, I really, really want that lollipop. And then I went, just what? You know what? Screw my British politeness. I'm having that lollipop. So yes, I got it for myself. And then there was a talk afterwards, and I just sat there very happy with my lollipop for ages and ages and ages. To take a very long time to eat. And of course, I took a silly selfie because that's what you do in that situation. So yes, those butterflies, by the way, I should have said, those are not from the ephemera pack. Those I fussy cut from one of the papers, the name of which has escaped me. Some of the butterflies are foil, but yes, I fussy cut a bunch of those. I just put them with the ephemera pack because I might as well. There are some butterflies in the ephemera pack, I believe, but yes, just used a bunch of those because I love my butterflies. And I moved them around. You may have seen me do that because up the top, I'd put 2 butterflies that were the same shape and it just looked a bit odd kind of thing, like 2 more of the pointed butterflies. So it meant there was 2 pointy ones at the top and 2 rounded ones at the bottom. So I just switched those around. I hope that made sense. Anyway, just to make it more interesting to look at and stuff. So those are the clear stickers, and I'm just putting a bunch of those on top of the picture. One that says, oh, I can't read it on my screen. It says something, I am, probably, and then some hearts. And then I also put one that says, this is me. That's going on there. And these are obviously the others. This is the other sticker pack, the non-clear ones, and just some more little hearts from that. Just, I like all my little bitty details as well. So some of those cute little circle stickers, some more little hearts, all that kind of thing is just going around the photo in general. And yes, and it all, like, you can see it really well on that black background as well. So yes, I really I'm gonna have to do the black again, I'm afraid, guys, because it's scary. Don't get me wrong, you will probably scream when you're doing it, but I think it's so worth it because it looks so nice. And then I wanted to do just a little embellishment cluster up the top where I had that folded piece, so I put a couple of the butterflies up there. You can see they're just cheating a little bit because that butterfly was obviously fussy cut, but it wasn't a whole butterfly, so just hiding his chopped off wing behind that little corner. And then I also just thought 2 butterflies is not quite enough. I'm just going to put a little phrase there, and I think that says I am choosing happiness, I think, and then a little heart as well from the sticker sheet. I just think cute little cluster up in that corner, very sweet. And then I didn't actually need to staple anything on because they're all stickers, but I just thought a little staple would look good and it obviously keeps that corner folded down kind of thing. I don't have a proper tiny attacher kind of thing because I don't want to pay that much money for a stapler. I'm very cheap sometimes and I don't use them often enough to make it worth it. So that was just a perfectly normal bog standard office stapler. And I'm not sure if this is the last thing I do. No, it's not, but I'm just adding a couple of little florals, teeny tiny ones from the ephemera pack just around those words, just to add a little bit of embellishment around those words, because without that they were a little bit too floaty. As you see, I don't add loads. And then I think this is the last thing I do, just adding some dilutions in slate grey, just splattering those on there. When you're doing splatters and you want black splatters, I find it's actually better to use a dark grey than an actual black. I can't really explain my reasons for that, but it just seems to work better. I don't know. So yeah, just adding a bunch of those splatters and I am finished. So there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty proud of this layout. I really like it. But yes, I will link where I bought this collection from and also link when I hauled this collection in case you're interested in seeing all of it. And yes, okay, please leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Chat to me in the comments. You know the drill, all that wonderful stuff. Thank you again so much for watching. I am now going. Bye.